How was the day? Did you get a chance to work on anything on the Puppet?
Raghu, we looked at
implementation. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Yogesh.
Implementation part we have discussed, and we have tried to understand the architecture.
Okay.
And we have compared with both Chef and Puppet. We have understood how the Puppet will work, but we have to implement a few of the practice that we will do in the weekend or when we get the time. But we are clear about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good to know about. So the handbooks, like I'm trying to share that, right? So is that solving the purpose? Is it like meeting your requirement instead of like watching video? So can you practice with the notes?
Raghu, you're talking about the reference that you shared yesterday?
Right. Yeah. Every day. I mean, not only yesterday. So when almost like so I'm just sharing the notes, right? So is that okay?
Yeah, that is helping us out actually. You know, we know the steps in order. So which one to execute first and all. And yeah, if that is not clear, that's when we are going and referring the video. Otherwise, yeah, the notes and the history was sufficient.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So what we do today and tomorrow, we'll start this Ansible. Yeah, it may take 2 or more days, but let's see that as we proceed, we'll start working on the Ansible part. I think some of you already might be working on Ansible. So I think it will be easy for you to learn the configuration management, that Ansible stuff. So we will try to do together. So just in case if you are like already having some knowledge in Ansible, it will be easy for you also to just brush up those skills. So however, I'll start from very basics from scratch. So those who are new to Ansible, so we would like to introduce them the Ansible stuff from scratch. Okay, so let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. So feel free to stop me just in case if you have any issue with the network or audio issue or anything. So because yesterday now we had some issue at the middle of the session, right? Yeah. Now, welcome to Ansible session. So because we now have some good idea, at least from the implementation point of view and from the knowledge point of view on Chef and Puppet, I'll try to compare the components in Ansible with Chef and Puppet so that it will be easy for us to remember and easy for us to understood these concepts Ansible. Now, Chef and Puppet, whereas both are on pull mechanism that developed using Ruby, whereas Ansible it works on push mechanism, which is developed in Python. And so what it is used for? The same stuff, configuration management, examples, configuring a server, or trying to deploy an application, doing some testing, so which is already installed some applications, and provisioning what is also can be done by Ansible, orchestration and automating all the manual tasks. So all that stuff can be done with Ansible also, apart from Chef and Puppet. We will not discuss this thing. We know why we need automation Why Ansible? Yeah, that is, we'll try to discuss. It's an open source again. Came into market around, I think, 2013, I guess, around that time. Very young comparatively with your Chef, Puppet, and SaltStack. So SaltStack is also one more configuration management tool. That is also push mechanism, which was developed using Python. Not very popular, SaltStack, because of complexity in writing the code. That's our only drawback with SaltStack. Now, the most important thing is this is agentless. So when I say agentless, so you don't need to install any agent on the node. So that is one of the advantage of using push mechanism configuration management tools such as Ansible. So the management and installation and managing all that stuff will be now reduced drastically. So it mostly communicates over SSH. So in a secure shell. And in most of the environment in the Linux, right? SSH anyway will be available communicating, and so no need to open any extra ports and all that stuff. So that advantage is there with the Ansible. And because it is developed using Python, the prerequisites to install Ansible on a server is comparatively less. Why? Because Ubuntu, CentOS, Fedora, Red Hat, everywhere Python is pre-bundled. It is mostly available inside.
Raghu, sorry for the interrupt. We lost you.
So that is the reason when we
Raghu, your voice is breaking.
Yeah, I'm just changing that network. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think better.
Yeah. So I was talking about the Python stuff. So most of the Linux distributions, so including Ubuntu, Fedora, Red Hat, or CentOS, you name it. Yeah. So they all comes pre-bundled with. So the advantage of that is that the overheads needed for installing Ansible in our environment is less comparatively with your Chef and Puppet. So because if you notice, when you try to install Chef and Puppet, because it is Ruby-based developer languages, so it requires some overheads to install on your system before you actually go ahead and install Chef and Puppet. Whereas in Python, in Ansible case, so that is not there, because Python, all these overheads and libraries already will be there in the Linux distributions. Also, comparatively, this is highly flexible configuration management system. And unlike your Chef and Puppet, where we call it as resources, in Ansible, we call as modules. So there are large number of ready-to-use modules available to do those system administration tasks or managing those systems, configuring those stuff. etc. So it also day by day getting better and better. For example, if you want to deal with Amazon, so there are modules releasing available, or if I want to deal with Azure, so there are some resources or modules available. You also can develop some custom modules, or in other words, like in Chef and Puppet resources. So in case if you want, you can develop that as well. And in case if you want to add, you can go ahead and add that to your Ansible installation. And yeah, rollback is also there here in case of errors. So you have that facility here. And the language which uses here is YAML. Any idea like what is the abbreviation of YAML?
.yml.
That is extension of the file, but the
Okay.
abbreviation of this, yeah, abbreviation of YAML. So yeah, actually people says that it is yet another markup language, but actually not. It is ain't markup language. Yeah, so you might have heard about XML, right? So yeah, XML is little complex to write, develop, and understand, whereas YAML it is not like that. It's a plain human readable, simple English text. And like any other open source tool, this is also comes with a lot of self documentation, and so over a period of time, so it become better and better. So Ansible is also having two versions. One is open source, and the other one is Red Hat, because Red Hat Ansible. So Red Hat took over Ansible, and I don't recollect in which year it was. And they also having an edition, enterprise edition called Red Hat Ansible. So we'll talk about that Red Hat stuff, what are the features. But anyway, that is the same language coming to the language with some extra features. So Ansible Tower, they have introduced Red Hat, which is an enterprise edition. So I'll just try to give you overview on that. Just otherwise, it's like storage area and policy control, all that stuff there. So comparatively with your other configuration management tools, Ansible architecture is very simple and straightforward. Here, because it works on push mechanism on your host, you no need to install any agent there. So that advantage you have. So agent is not needed here in your machines. So we call as like nodes or a host and everything. So agent is not needed. So it really simplifies the what you call establishing Ansible in your environment. So for SMB environment, small medium based environment, and so this is more suitable comparatively. I mean, in case if you don't want this to be an overhead of managing Ansible in your environment. And here, this is we call as this Ansible server, we call as like control manager. So here the main engine you'll be having that is the Ansible engine, and you can write and develop your own inventory. So my engine will refer this inventory, and using these connection plugins, it will push all those instructions to that inventory, that host. So what it will push? It will push this playbooks. So playbooks are like your recipes or your manifestos in Puppet. Now, what is equivalent to cookbooks? So equivalent to cookbooks in Ansible, we call it as like roles, ROLES, roles. So what is roles here? Collection of playbooks. But it is actually the structure is little different. How the cookbook looks like and how the module looks like. So we will talk about roles once we're done with very basics of all the playbooks, etc. Also, Ansible having some core modules. I mean, I was just now talking about, right? What is module here? Module is nothing but your resources. In Chef and Puppet, you have a lot of resources. No? The similar way, it is like it is different here. It is modules here. Also, as I've just now mentioned in a previous slide, you can also develop some custom modules. And you can also download some email plugins like emailing, logging, etc. here. So the architecture is that you as an engineer or cloud engineer or DevOps engineer, you'll be dealing with Ansible server by developing some playbooks and all these things. Also, you're responsible to understood this inventory, or in case if there is new addition, new inventory comes, you have to update that inventory. So the playbook based on the inventory which is written in the playbooks, it will refer that inventory, and from there it will push and apply those changes into the respective machines. Any questions on this architecture? The installation of Ansible is straightforward and very simple. So you can use apt-get install or yum install, or you can go to the website and download the Ansible open source. Anyway, here it is, agent is not needed, so client installation is not there. But just in case, in generally production servers, what happens, some of the distributions, if you don't see Python compatible stuff, so it requires two things. One is if it is, let's say, Ubuntu flavor machine, Python crypto and Python key Caesar. So just in case if they're messing, you just need to install. Otherwise, yeah, it is already inbuilt or bundled with most of the flavors, so it is not needed. But just for information. What else it is needed? Because I was just now talking about SSH, right? So you know how to establish an SSH. So you better on your server side create a key. Okay, if it is home directory or a root thing, anything is fine. I mean, we will in our practicals we'll try to do it with the root level. We already done that with our Chef, right? But bootstrapping, all that stuff. So you can collect their public key and then try to copy that. In your enterprise, you can also use SSH copy ID in case if you have the username, because LDAP will be there, user ID will be there, right? So you can also use this copy ID. Or in, of course, here in our Amazon platform, we manually do, right? We go to this folder and copy that and all that stuff. So whether you want to go for the passwordless authentication or not, that is your choice. So in case if you don't want to go with the passwordless authentication, this is not needed. So you can directly supply the credentials. But every time whenever you execute a playbook, it will ask for the credentials, passwords. So if it is looking for passwordless key, yeah, I go with this key, which is adjustable here. So you just need to repeat the same process for all your machines to log in automatically with that. And then try to, just in case if you're not using root, right, you just need to do sudo access. So that probably you can also automate that within your playbook, saying that so whenever it is executing, so please switch to sudo so that the following instructions can be executed. But the thing is that that user, the user which you will be referring, should have sudo access. So in case if it is not having sudo access, then the playbook will not execute, it will have a permission issue. So Anyway, in our practicals now we do root, right? So we'll not have that problem. But in enterprise layer, generally people not uses root, so they have to use the sudo access. Now coming to the inventory, if it is open source, so mostly you will be having an inventory at this location, open source here. If it is not open source, I just need to refer the documentation. Where is the inventory? And you need to create that inventory like this. So for example, here in this case, we only have two servers, server 1, server 2. So we grouped that server with the name called servers. So I can also say development servers, stage servers, production servers, or I can write, one more entry and then give a tag. So this tag will be used in the script, nothing but your playbook. So whenever I refer the inventory, I generally refer that with the tag name in the playbook. So which actually refers that collection or group of those servers to be applied the following script, which is written in the playbook. So this way, you no need to worry about to which server you are pushing. Those changes, those stuff like all the playbook instructions. Apart from that, Ansible is also having a lot of modules to test it out, or no need to write a playbook, but quickly if you want to do some XYZ things, you can also do all that stuff. For example, in this case, Ansible, the module name is ping here. This is not your Linux command. This is actually Ansible module name. So it is prefixed with -m all. So what it will do, it will refer this inventory. And then it will just check whether we have connectivity with all these nodes or not. So Ansible -m ping all, but all is a environment variable name from the Ansible point of view. So it is not a tag here, not even if it is not there also it will work. Or I don't want to give all, I just want to give this tag called servers. Yes, you are free to do that. So in this case, there are two servers listed. So it will try to ping those two servers and will let you know the status, whether they are on network, whether they are able to reach, or how the network and etc. So you can replace that thing with any of your tag. Inventory file generally will be very large in your real-time enterprise level. So if you want to look for dev servers, stage servers, so you just need to replace that with that. But all, yeah, it will actually try to ping all the inventory items listed in the inventory file. So this is just to check whether the connectivity is there or not, a troubleshooting point of view. So similarly, there are a lot of modules with Ansible. So this is one example of Ansible command called ping. So the output will be displayed like this thing. So you'll be seeing that this is success to this inventory, this is success to this inventory, and etc. And we also have a lot of modules, right? So one is command. So for example, there is a requirement that I want to find out the system utilization of all 100 servers which are there in my my environment. Anyway, Ansible is already there in all the stuff. So I can simply do this df-h on all those tags. So it's just a command, it is not a script or anything like Ansible -m command and all these things. Imagine that if you want to do that with a script, a shell script and all this stuff, how difficult it will be. Using Ansible, just with single command, you can do that. I just want to find out uptime of all my 100 servers. So I simply use this Ansible -m command. Yeah, -a within single quotes uptime of the so and so tag. This tag, I think we know, right? It is basically an inventory tag which is there. So can I use all also? Yes, you can also use all. So all the inventory will be referred there. So just a screenshot. So it will just show the uptime, load average of all your nodes. So pretty easy to find out the status of all your nodes. So for system administration, for them also, it is now an easy way to find out the status of the node for troubleshooting point of view, or for space issues or anything like that. Now we'll see one more command. This time this is -m setup. So what it will do here, because it will give an output in JSON kind of format. I have not given the tag name, but I given an individual IP here, individual inventory. So this will find out the entire details of that particular node. So it's like, or attributes. For example, IP address or IP6 address if it is having. What is the architecture? So that the BIOS date and then BIOS version. The list is very big. So in case if I want to develop a playbook that based on operating system OS, the instructions I have to write in the playbook. Okay, so as a condition, I'll be referring that this setup. So using the setup command, I'll find out the operating system. Let's say if it is Ubuntu, do this, or if it is Fedora or CentOS, Red Hat, do this thing, or if this something else, do this thing. So basically, I can write my playbook to operate multiple operating systems. So setup plays a major role to find out the attributes of the node. So that is fine. So we understood about the modules and the advantage of all the modules. But if the requirement is little complex, so then Ansible having a concept called playbook. It's equivalent to your recipe. So the extension of the playbook will be YML here. So it starts with 3 dashes. It denotes that following is a YAML syntax. Because it is developed using Python, if somebody asks you what is the drawback is indentation. Yeah, I mean, why it is drawback? Because I mean, any programmer, they generally don't like indentation. It's because it is some tedious task for us to troubleshoot in case of there is anything to be done. Anyway, so the file starts with 3 dashes, and the second line talks about the inventory where the following instruction has to be applied. So hyphen space. So this is what it starts with, hyphen space host. Now this host is a keyword, or in Ansible language, we can call it as like module. So this is in a variable which is defined in inventory. And here again, another module we are writing called task. So all these tasks like ending with a colon here, even host, any module generally ends with a colon. So this is hyphen host under this task. Now under this task, how many tasks I'm going to write. This is one task. Now, why I'm doing that? I will clear this thing. So you could see that there is an icon here, right? This is one task. And this is a second task. So similarly, this is another task. There are total in this screen. We could see that there are 3 tasks are available. So this right now, first task is starting with name, which actually represents the description of this task. I'm saying that now this is just in case when a developer comes, right? So if they want to know what is exactly this code, it says that ensure this package is installed. It's just a description. So now this is again, attributes of this module, task, etc. Here again, the action. Now, because it could be that the client is Ubuntu flavor, I'm using apt package entity. Sorry, and I was just referring, right? So sudo s. So in case if you not using a root access, yeah, it is always good practice to have the sudo s. So the following the above task will be executed. So let's say that how many nodes are there in servers? 2, right? So it will first execute on the first machine. In the first machine, the task will be executed. Now, it will go to the next task. Okay, so like one task is completed. So it'll go to the next task. Okay, so what is that it is doing? Probably I think it is using some action. Again, these are attributes of this action module. So the source is this. So probably in my current location, the server, so it is mentioned this thing. The destination is this. So this is where it has to be copied. Once it is copied, these are all the permissions it has to give to that particular destination file. So this task will be triggered. And then this task will be triggered. And then it load the second server. So again, first task, second task, third task. Likewise, it will go and complete the, in case if you're having multiple inventory boxes, it will try to complete in all the servers. Of course, this is just an extremely simple playbook to just to give you an idea how a playbook looks like. But anyway, we will be discussing more about how to develop cookbooks, some extremely simple playbooks to moderate cookbooks. Any questions on this?
Raghu, the tasks will be like tasks we could understand. This pseudo thing and all, like it depends on which kind of server we are connecting with, right? So for Windows, probably pseudo won't be there.
Yeah, for Windows that will not be applicable.
Oh. So does it exclude it, or while writing a task itself we need to handle it?
So for Windows again, you need to follow differently because, for example, this one apt package. I mean, these are all not applicable, no?
Right.
So that that is again different. For example, if it is Red Hat, apt itself it will not work. It should be yum.
Oh yeah.
So the module itself is different for different OSs.
Okay, so YML file everything stays same. Only the action and pseudo thing will change for Windows.
Correct. Yeah. So I'll ask a question on this after completing this exercise. So be ready. Yeah. So now understanding the playbook configuration. So we understood this thing. One is, so in order to use Ansible with SSH passwords. Yeah. So in case pass SSH password, the package if it is required. So there is a package available. So you can go ahead and install that. This is optional. This is not mandatory if it is Ubuntu flavor. So you can Ansible playbook command can be executed to run that file like this. -K, capital K NTB. So passwords switches will be able to use that SSH key and passwordless sudo, etc. In some in some areas this will be practiced, but not in all the tech domains. Also, I was just talking about every playbook configuration begin with this triple dash. So I said it denotes that the following is a playbook. So my question is it mandatory that we have to start with triple dash? Any comments from anyone?
No, I think it works without that.
Yeah, correct. So it is not mandatory. But why do we use this thing? We use because, yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, if you are using different tags like that time, we will use the triple dash.
Yeah. Basically, for example, if any developer, the other playbook or Ansible expert is trying to read that, or some unknown person is trying to open the script. So just to denote that the following is the YAML syntax, it is uses this, we use this triple dash. So for example, if you're writing shell script, you use that bin bash, right? Kind of that. Without bin bash, also the scripts works. Of course, there is a whole science behind that. But again, a very high level, this is just to denote that it also helps that the reader that the following is the shell script. So it's a good practice always to have description, to have this kind of standards in your environment whenever you're developing a program. It should be very clear. So just in case tomorrow, if somebody trying to read that thing, it will be easy for them. But we are little lazy. I've seen a lot of people, they don't actually write description properly. It's not that they don't want, but yeah, it's just a little lazy because they are in a hurry to complete the task, developing the program and all that stuff. And then coming to the other thing, host, this task, name we have seen in the playbook, action. These are all some various instructions or commands which will help the Ansible to install so and so process. So when we execute the playbook, how it will execute is first, because in this example, let's say they're using password package, so they're using -K capital K. If you are having a password less, you don't require to use this switches. So it will ask you to supply the password. So password has to be supplied. And then, so sudo password, if anything is there, that is also has to be supplied. So first thing, it will play that on the servers. So we have defined that under host now, so it will play on the servers. First, it will go and collect the inventory from the servers, and then it will talk to each node, and it identifies the facts. What is facts? It is including what is the OS of that server, what is the IP address of the server, a lot of parameters, architecture, BIOS, anything, etc., etc. So all those details will be gathered here. First, it will gather that all the facts based on the number of nodes mentioned in the playbook. And then it will go to the first task. So what is first task in this case? NTB package install. So first it went to the first server and it completed. Then it went to the second server, it completed this. Now again, it went to the second task. So first task, second task. So first it completed that in the first server, and in the second server it came into that. Then it will go into the third task. So it's same stuff, sequential order, first and second. Finally, it will give a recap that on these two nodes, total how many all okay. So we got 4 okays, but out of that 3 are changed. But this is not a change, right? 3 are changed successfully, and there are no issues. So means I only have 2 servers, 2 are reachable. There are no reports saying that one server is not reachable here. and also none of the execution failed. Sometimes it will fail, right, in a couple of servers. So that report will be executed here. Now, my question is, this playbook is executing all these tasks in order, right? So I just saw my question is, Ansible executing sequentially or parallelly? How it is this executing?
Based on the logs here, it looks like parallel.
When you say parallel, what it means?
So maybe it executes the sequence of, okay, let's say task, there are 3 tasks in, in one YAML file. So it executes the first task on the servers in parallel, and then it goes to the second. No, as you mentioned in one of your slides, you mentioned that it executes all the tasks on one server and it goes to another server.
Yeah, that's the correction. I mean, actually, yeah, it is in this way. So task will be executed node by node, and then it will go to the next task. Yeah, even I just mixed it. So just I'll take that statement back.
All right, so it's parallel, right?
And that you need to explain, Yeah.
Yeah, so task 1 actually will be executed on all the servers, and then it goes for task 2 to execute on all the servers.
Okay. So from the node point of view, I am not getting all the 3 tasks, right? If I'm the node and I'm not the server, so if I have two nodes, so 2 nodes means horizontally I'm receiving that. So that means yeah, I'm getting one task and it is going to the other task. I mean, I'm not getting the second task immediately, but again, it completes the first task in the other server. It is coming to me. So it is from the node point of view. So task by task, I'm receiving. So sequentially, I'm getting one by one. I'm not getting all the tasks, and it is completing here, and then it is going to the second one.
Right.
But if you look at the task point of view, from the task, it is like parallelly I'm going. Node wise, it is sequential. Task wise, it is parallel. You can just make a note of this thing. So why this is very important is, so when we writing a complex playbook, we have to remember that, let's say that if you're releasing something to multiple servers, so if sequences order matters there, you need to remember that, so that whenever you're trying to start a service, if there is a dependency, let's say that is there in the second task, and there is a dependency and the first task, yeah. So this is really important that yes, it actually applies to all the nodes, and then only it comes to the second this thing. So yeah, so we will refer all this lot of documentations here. We have a lot of adapt commands available, inventory variables, modules. We'll also have some roles there. So we also have other tools, right? Puppet, Chef, and so on. So let's go to our AWS console. So we'll take new nodes. I think we can use the existing node also. Amazon Linux also there. Probably I think I'll use this and this. So we will treat this as our Ansible control server. First of all, let me just verify whether we have Ansible or not. Otherwise, again, I will be ending up finding out a repository. Okay, so looks like it is not there. Install Ansible on. Okay. Okay, so it is saying that now just go ahead and set up the EPL repository. So the people who are new to this EPL, it is like enterprise extra, enterprise for extra Linux. So you have that under em repos.d. So if it is not there, okay, so you can get EPL repository. So you can go to this Fedora project EPL repository. So this is based on that, you can go ahead and set up whether it is 7 or 8 and all stuff. So which version it is. How do you know that? You can just go etc please. So Amazon Linux 2. So earlier in this is CentOS RHL Fedora. So I guess you can use 7 here. Let me try. Okay. Or I guess we may use let's try with first of all 8. So em repo list, just to check it out whether EPL is configured or not. Not yet. So what it has done, I guess it could also enable the builder also. How is it? So just check it out. Okay, so 7 configured. So it is trying to configure the repository, extra package for enterprise Linux. Now inside this, we have Ansible. Yeah, so I think we have Ansible version 2.9. Is also there or something. Yeah. So I'll give you those commands to you once it is installed. Install Ansible. That is like installing Ansible as well as some other dependencies required by Ansible, Python 2, SSH pass, etc. Oops. Sure. Type yes. Yeah, so 2.9 got installed. So let me share those commands with you. I went with 7. So just giving you the notes. So you can go ahead and configure Ansible. So let me also go to the client machine. Let me close all these inactive sessions. So this is my client. So this is my client. From here, I just want to make sure that from the server, we have this SSH connectivity is there or not. So just check it out. Ifconfig. Yeah, it is there. I think we configured it as part of or other exercise called Nasha. I hope like I no need to brief you that. So now let's check, set up the inventory. So where it is the inventory path is etc Ansible. Under that host file it should be there, but here in this case host file is not. Oh, it is there, right? So this is a host file. So let me edit this host file. So I would like to create a new tag called not web server, database server, but just a server. Square bracket, capital letter I'm giving. So for our classroom session, we'll be using this servers. I can use private IP, the best option. Always, in real time, we generally use only private IPs. You should go to this folder and let me put that in the chat. There will be a file called host. In some installation, generally if it is not there, try to create the folder in this file. And what else I've done? I created this entry. Just append this. Because I only have one server, I given this thing. So update the IP address accordingly. Don't copy my IP or all the changes comes to me. So now we want to check the connectivity. Ansible -m ping all. So yeah, it is connected. So this connectivity is successful. Or I can also use Ansible -m module ping servers. Anything is fine. Okay. I'll wait for your confirmation whether you've done this thing or not. In case if you're doing with me. We need this output. Yeah. Is anyone doing? Shall I wait for you to confirm me?
Yeah, doing it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm able to ping.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was on mute. Yeah. So you're done, right? Hello.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay. So its connectivity is established, or are there any issues?
No, no
All right.
issues.
Okay. Fine. So so let's start with this procedure. So who else were doing? I think Rakesh was also doing. So are you done, Rakesh? Yeah.
Yes, Ravi, you can go ahead.
Okay. Fine. So we'll start with an extremely basic things. First of all, the basic ad hoc Ansible commands. First one is, I just want to execute the df-h on the client. Ansible -m command -a. Probably you can use uptime also. Uptime on servers. So -a is an attribute, then it will be very useful. So even if you want to install some package, also you can use this -m command. Very popular one. -m command is widely used. So if I what else? Like if I want to use setup Ansible -m setup. This time we of course we only have one server, that is okay, but in real time if you have multiple like hundreds and thousands of servers, that output will be very lengthy. You just need to give an IP address. Just for only one server, this is the JSON output format. So it will entirely, fetch the entire facts about that node. So what the state is, XFS, wget, packages, install, architecture, OS version, etc. You can find out anything. So like for example, I want to find out Ansible -OS. Okay, typo. Yeah, you could see, right? The parameter it is saying that the Ansible OS family is Red Hat. It is just a there's an output or facts about the client. So we will start with our first playbook. Now, where can we write these playbooks? Can I write in this folder or can I write anywhere? So in Ansible, there is no restrictions. You can write in any folder because anyway, we will be executing the playbook using Ansible program only, no? So it is as simple as that. Ansible, likewise. Okay, so let's just start. Let me do one thing. Let me create a folder called playbooks here. I'm going to the playbooks folder. Inside this, I'm here. I'm writing my first playbook, extremely simple playbook. I have my notes. And there's this one. So my first exercise is, I just want to write a very extremely simple playbook where this is the what I will try to do. So I have a file in my client location. I just want to change the ownership of the file. So let me copy this thing. So now how do you write any playbook? So I can use any editors like such as VI, Vim, or I also can, I mean, because it's my personal laptop, I've installed that. But in case if you are trying to use any other laptop, I mean, official laptop, you can use VMI, VM editor. But this is just for information. Anyway, I will not use this one. This is just information. So here, this is Visual Studio. So I can write a new file. This is Ansible modules. How do you install this thing? The free version, you can download Visual Studio Code. And then once it is downloaded, you just need to go to this section and install some YML components, etc. And then start writing your playbooks here. So when you save it, probably it will ask you file name. And YML. So the advantage with this, whenever you're trying to type something, if there is any syntax issue and all these things, it will immediately help you to identify this issue. So in this case, of course, right? So it find out and all this is this. Everything is coded here. Even when you try to type something, also it will actually go to that indentation. Everything looks friendly, eye friendly, catchy friendly, and then for development point of view, this is very useful. Yeah, but this is fine. I leave it this for now. So to start from scratch, I think for learning point of view, so try to use VA editor, because sometimes in real time you generally will not get access to how to install some Visual Studio kind of codes. I have to take permissions and all that stuff, right? But when you practice in VA, it will be easy for you to write code in Visual Studio, unless you really want to become an expert in Ansible. So I'm trying to write my first playbook. So VI, what was that? I think file related to YAML, right? File related to YAML. You can use YML or YAML, I think it's fine. So what is the first thing? The first line starts with T dashes, host, and we don't have an inventory called web servers here. So it is servers. Become S means the following syntax will be triggered on the client machine at the sudo level. Is it mandatory? In this case, it is a root level, so I don't really need to do that. But yeah, this is a good practice to have this stuff. Now, my first task is I'm using a module called shell module. So here indentation is important. So give these two spaces, hyphen shell. Who am I? Okay. So this output, please save in this variable called username. Generally, who my command, what it will give in Linux, it will give the username. It gets the root or anything. So it is saved in this variable called username here. So what is the modules I have used here? Shell module, register module. And I'm also using another module called file. So on my destination, there is a path called temp info.txt file is there. So you need to change the owner of the file with this username. But in this case, in my client, I'm having the file, so it's not there, I guess. So let me just create it temporarily. So what's the file name? Info.txt. So touch info.txt. Owner is chown. Syntax. Owner is easy. I'll change this to use easy to use. Easy to. Yeah. So you could see the owner is now easy to user. It's not root, but easy to user. Now what this file do? It will store the root here, and then it will try to store that and then apply that in the client machine. So syntax here. First, I've written this in a simple, extremely simple playbook. Now, how do you execute this thing? So Ansible hyphen label file.yml. But I want to check this syntax first. So I just used hyphen syntax. There are no issues with the syntax. I also would like to do a dry run. One second, no op. Okay, dry run, I think. I forgot the syntax. One second.
Hyphen check.
Hyphen check.
Check. We'll do dry run.
Yeah. I think yes, something is there. I think this is not a dry run. I think is it dry run?
Yes, it's a dry run.
Dry run. Okay. So this trying to do what? Warning. Let's skip it. Check mode fail. Skip it. It does not look like what. .txt. The .txt. It is. So let's just try and execute that cookbook. Okay. So the issue is that the username, which was actually extracting, is getting a lot of details there. So I don't need all those details there. So, but how do you troubleshoot that? So you can use debug message. What is there in username? So I would like to debug this stuff. So what I'll do, I'll try to introduce this debug here. What is there in the variable? This is just to display like why it is failing and what is there in this username. So if you want to refer any variable name, you can use this way, username. So in the debug, it shows that actually the username is having so much details here. Okay, I don't need all that. I just need this standard output. So in my playbook, what I'll try to do, I will try to modify that. So debug is not needed anyway now. I don't need entire username, but just I need only the standard output. Now try to execute this. Okay, the task and an option which is an undefined variable. But looks like some typo error.
Username is.
Yeah. So this time it was processed. Anyway, while gathering facts, it actually given me a warning. You can ignore that. This is some Python interpreter. So please change this thing in the future. Something, it is some information. Fine. So this is the shell one. It is changed. Yeah, all this. This is the output we got. Now just go ahead and check that the client side. So it is now changed from EC2 to root. So it is successful. Just let me give this to you. So let me see if it is working for you also. I'll put you in the meeting chat. So while you're doing that, let me go to the other one. Now, my requirement is that I have this file.yml. I'd like to create one more playbook. And I would like to refer this particular playbook inside that. It is nothing but like an include. So how do you do that? So you can use this way. Simply, just use hyphen import playbook. It's not. I can remove these commands. What was that? File.yml. So Ansible playbook include syntax and check. I think is fine. Okay, again. Yeah. The include is triggered. So here, okay, a username was collected, the shell one, but the task was no change. So there is overall it's only one change. Why? Because the file name is already changed. So similarly, you can call multiple playbooks using -import playbook. So generally, the best practice, all the Ansible experts, what they do, they will write separate playbooks and they'll call in one playbook. So based on the requirement. So now my requirement is that I would like to print a variable using debug message. So I'm going to use this was module to define a static variable. In our previous case, what is that we did? We used this shell and register module. So it is actually dynamically storing the variable inside the register here. In this case, it is a static variable. So here we are trying to define two variables, HTTP port, username, like to display here. HTTP port and username. Now there is also an environment variable is also there. So if you want to display inventory host name, you can also display this inventory host name. This we are not defining yet, but it is available in Ansible inventory environment variable. So let's try this one. So in case if you are not very comfortable with VA, some people generally use Vim also. Vim is also good. Just will have some coloring code. Now in this case, the host, we are not using servers. We're trying to use all. So we'll see whether it will work or not. So far we learned that it will work. Actually, sure. First check syntax. Syntax looks fine. Do a dry run. Okay, so dry run is also good. Anyway, we don't have anything to execute, right? This is just to display here. Display those variables. So while doing this in a variable display, why do you want this gathering facts to be processed? It unnecessarily delays the execution, no? Because here client is not needed. So what we can do, we can skip this gathering facts by mentioning gathering facts no. So in this case, so we don't need client set. You can go ahead and then define that. So how do you do that? Go to debug.yaml. Here. So the definition is 1 second.
Gather underscore facts.
Yeah. So
Gather underscore facts colon no.
So hope this will work. It will skip the gathering facts. Now it is accelerated the execution speed. So I'll just give you this in the meeting notes. You can try this. So far, what are the models we learned? One is shell module. Shell we learned. Registered we have learned. Debug we have learned. And we also learned file. So this is another path, destination path, and this is the attribute of the file. And then we also learned about import playbook, how to call a playbook in another playbook, basically, if it is in the current directory or absolute path. And then we also learned about variable sections, static variables. So how to define the variables. Also, how do you skip gathering facts? And then the task debug, which is already we have seen this stuff. So these are the things which we have so far learned.
Raghu, can we add multiple tasks inside a playbook?
Yes, yes. You mean to say, let's say this is task and then you want to add one more task?
Yes. Now there is only one task, debug. Can I add new
So
task?
under this task, with using this hyphen, you can have any number of tasks.
Okay.
So we'll do that. Yeah. So we have that in exercise.
Okay. So what if one task gets failed, will that stop or will it go and run
Yes.
another task?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, so the task will not fail, and then at the bottom, the summary it will be displayed like this thing. I'll show you that summary. Yeah, here. So how many tasks fail? This, let's say this is failed. Then okay. So okay, how many? Changed how many? And failed how many?
Okay, here we can see. Okay.
Yes. So now this time, my requirement is that I would like to install a database software, let's say MySQL kind of stuff. Now, I also would like to configure database password for that. But the problem is, in case if I configure that password inside the playbook, you're compromised, right? So I don't want to supply the password, but during playbook execution, it should ask me to supply the password. Basically, prompt me with the password I'll supply, which will be supplied to the MySQL. So we'll just use, we'll not install MySQL. We will use that, how to prompt a password or a variable and then where it is stored, how to display that stuff. Prompt YML. So we don't have this inventory, right? DB servers. So I'm changing this to servers. So two static variables we have defined. And that's we already seen where modules. Now, the one new module we are learning here is vars underscore prompt. So now here, hyphen name, DB password, and I'm asking enter the password for the database. So whenever that, the one which you will be entering during the execution will be stored in this variable called DB password. Anyway, we are not installing MySQL here, but I'm just trying to display the data which is stored in the variable called DB pass. So let's try this option first. Ansible playbook from YML. First check the syntax. Syntax looks okay to us. Now do a dry run. Test 1, 2, 3. Again, here is also gathering facts. It is not needed. The test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it is looking like it is working fine. So what we do, we can also add this gathering facts. Okay, and then indentation issue. So just see. So where it went wrong, I think we use tab, I guess.
It's just gather underscore facts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Typo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So given in the meeting chat. Then is Ansible one. What is that we have seen newly? One is wires underscore prompt. So we asked a password to type. We stored that in the DB pass, and that we've used in the debug message. So bash prompt is the module which we have used here, and these are all attributes. Similarly, you can store multiple variables. So now, what is my requirement is, so in this case, we would like to collect the DB username or the file owner, enter whatever, okay, enter the username of the file owner. So instead of collecting who am I, the one which we used earlier, this time we are using was prompt. Now that username should apply as owner of the so and so file here. Okay, so let's try this thing. Now up to here we know this is servers become as DB user and all this thing task file. So in our previous case we used horizontally. That file space path space or equal to and then here, right? Can I also write this way? The answer is yes. The only difference you need to know that the indentation that under this module again you have to follow the indentation. 2 spaces is fine. Generally people will do that. Now because you are using this way, so you cannot use equal to symbol, but you can use this colon. The state is touched. What do you mean by this? In case if the file is not there, please create it. That is the purpose of it. No? State is touched, and owner of the file is this one. Which one? The one which is right now displaying. So we will try to use EC-user because anyway it is running as a root. When it touch, it will create. It will be root, but we want to change that to EC-user. Now. Here register we are using. So we'll talk about this little later. What is exactly register create? First check whether that is working or not. Syntax looks okay. Check is also fine. Actually, we should have used gathering facts. It's okay. So EC2-user. Let me go to the destination. What was the file name we created? I think, let me just check that. Yes, last time new file not created. Okay, we just did a dry run, right? EC2-user. Looks like it created. So you could see that username, the one which we supplied, it is triggered and executed. So you can use any username which is available in the system. Try this one. So hope you completed that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now here, what is the new thing we have also seen? State touch, owner DB user, and register create. Now, what is exactly this register here? So Ansible Register is basically a module which is actually captures used to capture or store the entire like output of the so and so command or a task. So this module, what we can do, we can store the output into a variable. So the usage of this module we'll be seeing in the coming exercises. But otherwise, the use of this module is like, you can verify your task is executed or not by checking the task output in the log or etc. So we'll try some examples in the coming exercises. So now we'll talk about handlers here. So in the example here, so what is this program is trying to do is trying to copy a configuration to the destination. Generally, at the client side, if you try to copy a configuration, it should follow by a restart. Because otherwise, no, all those changes will not be reflected, right? Because it has to be like restarted. That now, how do you do that? Because every time it is difficult for Ansible to check, whether the source and destination is copied or not, changed or not. Or what will happen if you just say that no, restart immediately after this copying, restart one more task. It will unnecessarily will restart that particular program every time the playbook is pushed or executed. Instead, in Ansible, there is a module available called handlers. So what it will do is, this handlers will detect the signature of the file. If there is a change in signature of the file, that means like timestamp or what do you call, the ID, forgot that ID. So in case there is a change in that, only then please execute this restart command. That is the purpose of this handlers. Now, how do you define this thing? In the task, as soon as you're done with the task, you just mention this notify. This is just a description. This is not a keyword or something like that. You can put anything here. So this is just referring to this handler. Which handler? That I'll be defining at the bottom of the YAML section. So you probably here it is extremely simple playbook, but in case if it is a very large program, so generally handlers will be defining at the bottom of the section. So it will immediately jump to that handler and it will write or execute that handler and will come back to the program execution to resume the activity. So that is a little definition about the handlers. So let me try, because we don't have HTTPD here. It's fine. I will just want to now see whether the handlers are triggered or not. So in my source location, do we have http.conf? So even here also we have Apache. Apache is there. So what I do is HTTP.com, because this is just a class to practice purpose. I will use proxy.com, which I'll create now in an empty file. And not here, but try to deploy here with the file name proxy.com. Yeah, just a simple exercise. Save this thing. So now Ansible playbook and let's dot syntax. Fine. Dry run. Yeah, I think the location is the file is not proxy dot. I'm just creating in my local directory. I'll do one more try. Yeah. So this time it is copying is done. And anyway, because it's a dry run, it is saying that you said restart, but okay, it has to be restarted. All right. Okay, let me do that as well. Hope this time the dry run should work. Yes. So now the mode is checked. So go to the destination etc httpd conf.d. Do we have proxy here? The proxy is there. So let me remove this proxy. Temporary. Also, I want to see when that Apache restarted or not. If it is, what the PID should change, right? That is also I want to check it out. So execute this. That is successful. Now first check it out whether proxy file deployed or not. I deployed an empty file, it's okay. But because it is deployed, now check it out whether the process is changed or not. Yes, it got restarted. It got restarted. They also could see, right? The PID is changed. That means it is triggered. Now, if I re-execute this again, so it should not restart the Apache. Let's see, because the file is already there now. So go there. Yeah. So it not actually restarted. Now I'll do some changes to the proxy. What I'll do, I'll simply add some letters, proxy pass something. I know it is syntax is not correct, but that's fine. I just want to deploy that. Now, as soon as that that is file signature is changed, it should restart the Apache. Yeah, think it anyway. It will throw error. Restarting. So it got what you call HTTP services failed. Why? Because that syntax is not correct. Okay, that is a problem. So what we'll complete the syntax. So Yeah. So this time it should restart. Let's check it out. See, again, the file, because it noticed that, so it got a new file. It immediately restarted. So let me give this thing. Okay, so what we'd like, we'll stop at this moment today. So we'll take some any questions from anyone. Some questions from anyone? So are you able to complete all the playbooks which we have shared in the meeting chat? Anyway,
Executing the last one.
oh, okay, fine. Yeah. So you're all based out of like Bangalore, like, or you are from different places?
Yeah, different place from AP.
Otherwise, like office in Bangalore, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Which location? It is in Bangalore.
Kormangala.
Okay.
Raghu, the source proxy conf, right? So we have to keep it under home EC2 folder.
I don't know, in the current directory.
Okay.
Yeah, because we said like source is current directory because we did not give any absolute path. No?
Right.
Like given your syntax, proxy.com. So the good news is that I think now the cases are coming down, right? Say at the stages of recovery.
Yes, comparative.
Yeah.
Yes, Raghu, the last activity is also done. So able to restart.
Okay. Okay. So what I'll do, like, I'll give you one exercise for tomorrow, a simple exercise. what is my requirement is that you need to probably write a playbook. Just thinking which one I'm giving. 1 second. Let me just refer my. Yeah. So what is the requirement is that, you know, based on what all the variables, whatever we have written, okay, only on that, it should ask me to enter my name. So this name should be displayed on the web page. That's it. That's the output. I just need. So write a playbook which will collect the username from me, and it has to display on the web page. Clear?
Yeah, web page, you mean like serving a web page using HTTPD or something, right? When you open it in browser. Oh.
Yeah, you can use Nginx or you can use HTTPD or Apache. Anything is fine. Yeah.
Oh.
Extremely simple. Yeah. So, but you know, try to use handlers. Okay. Try to use all other options, right? So try to use that stuff.
Okay, so every time we execute this playbook with different names, the web page should show it accordingly.
Correct.
Okay.
And also try to use variables for, you know, doc directory. Like instead of going via www.html, you have to use variables. See, I mean, it's okay. Like, you know, that is the expectations, but we'll say, like, you know, we can write that playbook. So whoever completes that playbook, I will recommend for vaccination.
Otherwise, we won't get the vaccination. No?
Okay. Well, you have to wait for, you know, COVID application to starts to be available. It will take 2-3 months.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you all. Thanks for your time today evening. So we'll catch up tomorrow then.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Raghu.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, Raghu.